There you are. There's a church.
I can see that bouncing on the TV right now.
Yeah. Bob.
Stand over for that sign.
Want all of us over there?
Can I bother you to take our picture? Kind of hard to see outside. Yeah, thank you very much.
City of Full. All right.
I believe this is the first trip we've ever been on where you're carrying that camera and I'm carrying this camera.
Yeah. Winston Churchill. There he is.
First mentioned in 1181.
All
Okay,
right.
guys, turn around this way.
Okay.
Thank you, Matt.
Hi. Finest hour home video. The Battle of Britain. Well, let's see, I guess they went on out.
Museum starts second entrance to the right.
All right, thank you.
Let's see, I forgot to get the brochure here. 17th century Bible donated to the Mary of the Virgin, St. Mary the Virgin, Aldermanbury. What's an oldie? Key to Blenheim Palace. Give it to Winston Churchill. That's where he was born, Blenheim. With a cigar. Where's Bob at?
He's been somewhere.
Yeah. There he is. Looking for the facilities.
No, I just used to
Oh,
hear while I'm thinking about it.
Oh, I see. He's running.
Oh,
those toy soldiers.
He's Blenheim right there, isn't it?
Yeah. I saw Blenheim from down the drive. We didn't get to go up to it.
It's his
We passed
grandfather,
it.
the Duke of Marlborough.
Yeah.
That is his, no, maybe that's still
Young Winston.
Well, just they elect that was
Well, the majority might use it.
yeah,
They get the executive, right? So
but
that-
every once in a while there's a big,
Unless
power-
the Supreme can resolve Parliament.
but every once in a while there's a big power struggle and then the other party comes.
He's hungry.
Who he marries? Uncle Algernon?
These locked within the church is safe. This Victorian communion silver survived the bombing and fire of 29 December 1940. Chalices, patens, cruets, flagon, and plate will still carry scars of the Blitz. They're reminders of that night during elements of St. Mary the Virgin, Alderman Berry legacy. Church restored. Foundation stone laid in October 1966, 300 years after the Great Fire of London. Burned in 1940. Dedicated 1969. Let's see. All right. City of London. (1945), 1939. Sword of the Lord Mayor of London. Sir Christopher Wren, 1673. Winston. No, we'll go here. Military strategy in miniature. Many Victorian children played soldier. Winston organized them in great numbers. His father used to steer him in that direction. Toy British soldiers. Wow. Winston's father, Lord Randolph, Lady Randolph. Beloved Nanny. 1889. Engagement photograph. Clementine, Hauser, and Winston, 1908. Prisons and police actions. It was 1910.
11.
1911.
They must have lost that big time or something, cost him his position.
Soldier's kit. He was a soldier of Tommy on the Western Front during the Great War. Wow. Guiding sticks, huh? Painted. That's by Winston Churchill right there. $1929 to $39. Yep, look at those evil eyes. Arrogance and pride. Wickedness. February 1933.
Save the Dutchland.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even German.
He's Austrian.
Didn't know how to throw a rally though, didn't they?
Yeah, I did. There's plenty of seats, all right. Hey, he knew how to get people excited. Pageantry.
Is that the horse vessel somewhere? Was that the horse vessel song they were playing? Is that what it's called?
September 1st, 1939, Germany invades Poland.
There's that bus for man.
Oh, yeah. That's Franklin Roosevelt there.
Oh, is it? I just
Uh-huh.
glanced over and saw it.
Franklin D. Roosevelt. I like that, his attitude, never give in.
No button. I was having a conversation with him.
This is the BBC program for the forces. Hi, gang. Welcome to the Hi Gang Show, coming to you from the heart of London.
This is one of my favorite rooms since they changed it into Neal.
The noise that you hear at the moment is the sound of the air raid siren. I'm standing here just on the steps of St. Martin's in the Fields. A searchlight just burst into action off in the distance.
Searchlights.
One single beam sweeping the sky above me now. People are walking around quite quietly. We're just at the entrance of an air raid shelter here, and I must move this cable over just a bit so people can walk in. There's another searchlight just square behind Nelson's statue. More searchlights come into action. You see them reach straight up into the sky and occasionally they catch it. One of the strangest sounds one can hear.
For the last 4 days and nights, London has been living a strange new life. By day, a life interrupted by short warnings and rain, and at night, long hours of waiting in the shelters. The streets empty towards dusk. There are people going home from work and people moving out of their homes,
Top hat.
laden with blankets, oil stoves, baskets of food, helmets, and gas masks. People going to their shelters. Above them, the sky takes on a strange pattern. The red glow of the distant fires in the east, the sweep of the searchlight, intermittent drone of the bombers and the spectacle tattoo of the anti-aircraft guns. Below, the population of the biggest city in the world is underground.
Run, rabbit, run, run, run. Run, rabbit, run, rabbit, run.
There's the tube.
Run.
We've been down in there, man.
Yes, we have.
Run, rabbit, run, rabbit, run, run, run.
Jerry's a little bit late tonight. The searchlights are in position. The guns are ready. The People's Army of Volunteers is ready. They are the ones who are really fighting this war.
Here, the searchlights. See the searchlights.
The area wardens, the ambulance drivers, and there's the whale of the Banshee. The nightly siege of London has begun. The city is dressed for battle. Here they come. Now the searchlights are poking long, white, inquisitive fingers into the blackness of the night.
A little radio.
These are not Hollywood sound effects. This is the music they play every night in London. The symphony. That was a bomb. The very young and the very old, with that deep wisdom given only to the very young and the very old, sleep in the shelters. Brokers, clerks, peddlers, merchants by day. They are heroes by night. The night is long.
I had Russell take one, but the last part, I was going to be like over here and I won't help him. So watch it out, so. Probably.
200 individual dogfights.
This morning, as the cold dawn was breaking over the mountains, I went to one of the tiny parks in the strange deep city. The streets were deserted, the moon for a moment. As the invaders passed sounded, men, women, and children came out of their holes and grounds, looking dazed, bewildered, and scared. They had been gone 5 hours before the world. Here they are.
Coming through there, and I thought, well, there's old Jerry coming again. I hope he just waited for it. But at the time, I prayed hard, and I thank God that he answered our prayers and we're all safe. What about your children? Oh yes, my children, they slept through it, they say nothing about it. When I woke me boy up, he wondered what I was waking up for. I told him that it was turned chilly, and I thought I'd better pin him up and have him up just to keep him warm. He's quite happy, yes, he's just enjoying a nice cup of tea with his cake. More breakfast butter if anybody wants it.
Big Ben is solemnly chiming the hour tonight, despite the bomb which last night struck the tower on which the great clock stands.
Much of the glass was ripped from the face of Big Ben, and the masonry above was badly burned, but the damage is repairable. Buildings which are part of the very substance and symbol of England were damaged in last night's heavy raid. Among these were the Houses of Parliament, Westminster Abbey, and the British Museum. The raid on London last night was one of the heaviest.
Your dearest memories all remind you that sorrow never comes to stay. And when the shadows fall behind you,
I know the nearby guns are not working. The searchlights now are feeling almost directly overhead. Now you hear two bursts of boom there at the moment.
just don't have him beat on before, and he'll never get to you, never. We'll take good care of that.
We can take it. If he thinks he can win the war by bombing women and children, he's found a big mistake.
Better hurry back.
Yep, that's right there.
But what is our aim? I can answer in one word. Victory. Victory at all costs. Victory in spite of all terror. Victory however long and hard the road may be.
In the spring of 1940, Hitler's army swept through Norway and Denmark. On May 10th, Germany struck at France and the Low Countries. It was at this moment, one of the darkest in British history, that Winston Churchill became Prime Minister. It was a mission he felt he had been preparing for all his life, his walk with destiny. Churchill immediately brought a new spirit of determination into the fight against Hitler.
We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender.
The battle for France, however, was lost, and 200,000 British soldiers trapped on the beaches of Dunkirk faced death or capture. In late May, Churchill ordered their evacuation. More than 335,000 men, French and British, were rescued. On June 22nd, France surrendered to the Nazis. Britain now stood alone against Germany.
On the Channel invasion coasts, more than 100 fully equipped German divisions were singing the Nazi theme song, "We are sailing against England," as they waited the word from Hitler. The jaws of the Nazi whale were set to swallow Jonah.
Churchill prepared the nation for the German assault that seemed imminent.
Hitler knows that he will have to break us in this island or lose the war. If we can stand up to him, all Europe may be free, and the life of the world may move forward into broad, sunlit uplands. Let us, therefore, brace ourselves to our duties, and so bear ourselves that if the British Empire and its Commonwealth last for 1,000 years, men will still say, this was their finest hour.
The attack began in the air. All through the summer and early fall of 1940, the Royal Air Force and the German Luftwaffe fought what would become known as the Battle of Britain. Outnumbered 3-1, the pilots of the RAF emerged victorious.
The gratitude of every home in our island, in our empire, and indeed throughout the world, goes out to the British airmen who, undaunted by odds, unwearied in their constant challenge and mortal danger, are turning the tide of the world war by their prowess and by their devotion. Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few.
German attack continued, but now took a new form. The Blitz, sustained bombing of London and other civilian targets. During the next year, 40,000 people were killed and many of Britain's cities reduced to rubble. Throughout this dark time, Churchill rallied the nation and gave his people the courage to weather the great losses of the Blitz.
All the world that is still free marvels at the composure and fortitude with which the citizens of London are facing and surmounting the great ordeal to which they are subjected, the end of which, or the severity of which, cannot yet be foreseen. They know that they have behind them a people who will not flinch or weary of the struggle, hard and protracted though it will be. But that we shall rather draw from the heart of suffering itself the means of inspiration and survival, and of a victory won not only for ourselves, but for all. A victory won not only for our own time, but for the long and better days that are to come.
Raged on until the spring of 1941, when most of the Luftwaffe was called away to the newly opened front in Russia. Alone among European nations, Britain had fought off a Nazi invasion. Churchill now turned to the next phase of the war.
We cannot yet see how deliverance will come, or when it will come, but nothing is more certain than that every trace of Hitler's footsteps, every stain of his infected and corroding fingers will be sponged and purged, and if need be blasted from the surface of the earth.
But Britain still fought the battle alone. In the North Atlantic, British convoys often lost half their ships to German U-boat wolf packs. Churchill issued a plea to President Roosevelt.
Put your confidence in us. Give us your faith and your blessing. And under providence, all will be well. Give us the tools, and we will finish the job.
Across the Atlantic, 50 American destroyers make ready to sail for British ports. In exchange for naval bases in the West Indies, Britain received valuable additions to her hard-pressed anti-submarine ships. It is a momentous day in the history of Anglo-American relations. Hands across the sea, as well as arms across the Atlantic.
In the waters off Newfoundland in August of 1941, Churchill met with Roosevelt for the first time. The bond between the two men and the two countries grew stronger. Churchill pressed Roosevelt to enter the war, but the United States was not yet ready. attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, changed everything. On December 8th, the United States and Britain declared war on Japan. A few days later, Germany and Italy declared war on the United States. On December 26th, Churchill addressed Congress.
It is not given to us to peer into the mysteries of the future. Still I avow my hope and faith, sure and inviolate, that in the days to come, the British and American people will, for their own safety and for the good of all, work together in majesty, in justice, and in peace.
Despite the entry of the United States into the war, Britain's burden in early 1942 remained a heavy one. Losses in the Atlantic, in North Africa, and in Asia mounted. Later that year, the tide started to turn. In November, the British defeated the Germans in North Africa.
We have a new experience. We have victory. A remarkable and definite victory. A bright gleam has caught the helmets of our soldiers and warmed and cheered all our hearts. Ah, this is not the end. It is not even the beginning of the end. But it is perhaps the end of the beginning.
In January 1943, Churchill met with Roosevelt in Casablanca to plan an offensive in Western Europe. These plans intensified throughout 1943, and in June of the following year, the Allies prepared for the largest amphibious invasion in the history of war, D-Day.
Allied naval forces, supported by strong air forces, began landing Allied armies this morning on the northern coast of France.
Despite the success of the D-Day landings, the end of the war was still a year away. The Germans resumed the bombing of London, this time with powerful rockets that could not be detected or shot down. The Allies continued the push toward Germany. At Yalta, Churchill met with Roosevelt and Stalin to plan a post-war order. Churchill crossed the Rhine with the Americans in March of 1945. In mid-April, the Russians entered Berlin. 2 weeks later, Hitler committed suicide. After 6 years of war, tens of millions dead, and countries across Europe, Asia, and Africa in ruin, Germany surrendered on May 7, 1945. Although the war with Japan would rage on until August 15th, May 8th was Victory in Europe Day.
Of freedom. short minutes of water. Their first tactics were to bomb convoys in the Channel. Convoys loaded with food and munitions, bound for the great port of London.
The guy from Fulton was in the Eagle Squadron.
Yeah, he was killed in 43, wasn't he?
Suitable honorarium will be provided.
There's another movie. Have you seen it yet?
No, I haven't.
There's his podium and his chair.
I sat in that chair. You know, you can say what you want to about old Truman, but I'll tell you, he was a heck of a man. He did things that people would never have guts to do today. And a lot of people back there then wouldn't. It took an old hard-headed farmer from Missouri to have the wisdom to do what he did.
Right.
And the guts to carry it out. Everybody criticized him, a lot of people criticized him for that bomb, but I think...
In the fall of 1945, Frank McClure, the president of Westminster College, conceived a bold idea to invite Winston Churchill to deliver a lecture at the college. Westminster alumnus Major General Harry Vaughan, a military aide at the White House, showed the invitation to Missouri's native son, President Harry Truman. Truman scrawled a handwritten note at the bottom of the Westminster invitation. "This is a wonderful school in my home state. Hope you can do it. I'll introduce you. Best regards, Harry Truman. With this endorsement, Churchill accepted. So on March 5th, 1946, Winston Churchill and Harry Truman arrived at Westminster College. It was less than 1 year after the war's end in Europe, and Churchill was watching the Soviet Union's actions in Eastern Europe with increasing concern. Here at Westminster College, he was to deliver one of the most famous speeches of his career.
Neither the sure prevention of war, nor the continuous rise of world organization will be gained without what I have called the fraternal association of the English-speaking peoples. This means a special relationship between the British Commonwealth and Empire and the United States of America. As a shadow has fallen upon the scenes so lately lighted by the Allied victory. Nobody knows what Soviet Russia and its Communist International Organization intends to do in the immediate future, or what are the limits, if any, to their expansive and proselytizing tendencies. From Stettin in the Baltic to Trieste in the Adriatic, an iron curtain has descended across the continent. Behind that line lie all the capitals of the ancient states of Central and Eastern Europe. Warsaw, Berlin, Prague, Vienna, Budapest, Belgrade, Bucharest, and Sofia. All these famous cities and the populations around them lie in what I must call the Soviet sphere. Whatever conclusions may be drawn from these facts, in fact they are, this is certainly not the liberated Europe we fought to build up, nor is it one which contains the essentials of permanent peace. Twice the United States has had to send several millions of its young men across the Atlantic to find the war. But now, war can find any nation, wherever it may dwell, between dusk and dawn. I do not believe that Soviet Russia desires war. What they desire is the fruits of war and the indefinite expansion of their power and doctrines. But what we have to consider here today, while time remains, is the permanent prevention of war and the establishment of conditions of freedom and democracy as rapidly as possible in all countries. Our difficulties and dangers will not be removed by closing our eyes to them. They will not be removed by mere waiting to see what happens, nor will they be removed by a policy of appeasement. What is needed is a settlement, and the longer this is delayed, the more difficult it will be, and the greater our dangers will become. There never was a war in history easier to prevent by timely action than the one which has just desolated such great areas of the globe. It could have been prevented, in my belief, without the firing of a single shot, and Germany might be powerful, prosperous, and honored today. But no one would listen. One by one, we were all sucked into the awful whirlpool. Surely, ladies and gentlemen, I put it to you, surely we must not let that happen again.
Immediate reaction to the speech was guarded. Many accused Churchill of warmongering and were suspicious of his proposed military alliance between the English-speaking peoples. In time, it became clear that the speech was an accurate warning about the Cold War to come.
Here he is, Joseph Stalin.
fight their way through weather and red obstruction.
The Berlin airlift. I saw a thing on TV that day. They're showing a guy today. He was one of the pilots. He used to take candy and hand out to the kids that he saw along the airstrip over there. He realized they had anything.
Throw them out the window of the airplane.
Yeah. Yeah.
They must be ready every day if the atomic bomb explodes. Duck and cover. This family knows what to do. Our homes, our nation, all the things we believe in
Berlin Wall.
are in great danger. This danger has been created by the rulers of the Soviet Union. A highly trained and well-equipped North Korean army swarmed across the 30th parallel to attack unprepared South Korean defenders.
All free men, wherever they may live, are citizens of Berlin. And therefore, as a free man, I take pride in the words, Ich bin ein Berliner.
An intermediate range missile air strike issue. Yes or no?
The hours ticked away toward a showdown as 25 Soviet ships steamed toward the armada of U.S. Navy ships speculating without Castro's island.
We will not be destroyed unnecessarily. Wish the cause of worldwide nuclear war, and which even the proofs of victory will be ashes in our mouths.
We'll say for as long as it takes, we shall provide whatever help is required to win the battle against the communist insurgents.
We have begun to reduce the level of fear by reducing the causes of fear for our two peoples and for all peoples in the world.
This invasion is an extremely serious threat to peace because of the threat of further Soviet expansion.
I urge you to be rid of the temptation to ignore the facts of history and the aggressive impulses of an evil empire.
General Secretary Gorbachev, if you seek peace, tear down this wall.
Let's see. So you have that.
What an honor it is for me to come to Fulton, indelibly stamped with the name and eloquence of Churchill. We rejoice in the demise of the Berlin Wall that was permanently breached just 1 year ago today. A once silent people found their voice, and with it a battering ram to knock down walls real and imagined. how pleased Sir Winston must be. His Fulton speech was a fire bell in the night.
When they dedicate this
a Paul
wall.
Revere warning that tyranny was once more on the march. For the victims of communist oppression, the Iron Curtain was made all too real in a concrete wall, surrounded by barbed wire and attack dogs and guards with orders to shoot on sight anyone trying to escape the so-called workers' paradise of East Germany. Well, today, we come full circle from those anxious times. Ours is a more peaceful planet because of men like Churchill and Truman and countless others who shared their dream of a world where no one wields a sword and no one drags a chain. This is their monument.
Now,
Brought down the Iron Curtain, right?
yeah.
You know what, Dad? It says he brought down the Iron Curtain. Well, I guess.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I thought I pushed that.
More than 46 years ago, Winston Churchill spoke in Fulton, and in my country, this speech was singled out as the formal declaration of the Cold War. This was indeed the first time the words Iron Curtain were pronounced, and the whole Western world was challenged to close ranks against the threat of tyranny in the form of the Soviet Union and communist expansion. One epoch has ended, and a second is commencing. No one yet knows how concrete it will be. No one. Having long been orthodox Marxists, we were sure that we knew. But life, once again, has refuted those who claim to be know-it-alls and messiahs.
But there is some similarity in the circumstances of 50 years ago and today. Churchill's speech here was the first serious warning of what was afoot, and it helped to wake up the entire West. In due course, that speech bore rich fruit in the new institutions forged to strengthen the West against Stalin's assault. Like a giant refrigerator that had finally broken down after years of poor maintenance, the Soviet Empire in its collapse released all the ills of ethnic, social, and political backwardness which it had frozen in suspended animation for so long. We in the West may have to deal with a number of possible adversaries, each with different characteristics. In some cases, their mentalities differ from ours even more than did those of our old Cold War enemy. The West must install effective ballistic missile defense, which would protect us and our armed forces, reduce or even nullify the rogue state's arsenal, and enable us to retaliate. It remains to be seen whether this generation will respond to these threats with the imagination and courage of Sir Winston, President Truman, and the wise men of those years.
Wow, that's neat.
He had a good humor.
Art and hobbies.
Oh, he did, yeah.
Hey, Russell.
Yeah.
May the 6th, 1992. That's when we were here with Gorbachev.
Right.
Sitting on there. Yeah.
92. Brett, I was telling Bob, when I first got to North Africa, one of the first things I saw after I got on the base coming down the road was an old Arab with a two-wheel cart with a donkey pulling it. A woman on each side, one leading the donkey, and he had his feet cocked up and had on a pair of shoes like that. The toes all curled up.
But you thought, boy, you were in an exotic land, boy.
Man. It was, too.
Yeah. Churchill's desk. Oh. Wow.
Please do not sit in this chair. No.
Oh, hang on. The Kodak on it.
Yeah. Of course, I got to admit, I did too.
Now, which chair are you talking about?
That one back in the other room.
Did you read this?
This is from it is there before.
I guess I walked right past that.
Yeah.
I could hardly be called a pillar of the church. I am more in the nature of a buttress. I support it from the outside.
That Churchill is a sight. Look at that, St. Paul's. That's his funeral. Farewell, the statesman.
I kind of like that thing.
Yeah.
It resembles him.
What did he say?
He said, I kind of like that saying.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I resemble that.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Well,
Painting. Churchill's painting. Hmm. Wow.
Come over here. Graham has more. During a photo session for his 75th birthday, a photographer said to Churchill, I hope to have the opportunity to...
So one can't be all that certain that's really happened. But anyway, here's how the story goes. One evening, Churchill hailed a cab to drive him to the BBC studio. The cabbie told him, sorry, sir, I have the radio on and I want to hear the Prime Minister's address. Churchill, of course, was delighted.
well, if you can't have a wedding, maybe we can do your funeral one here, Dave.
Yeah, yeah. And pretty soon.
The best man.
There's a sword stand where the mayor of London would put his sword in it. There's the Ten Commandments in the pulpit. Pipe organ. Isn't that something? Beautiful. Sir Winston. Yeah. This is a part of the Berlin Wall. There it is. Now this is west of the wall.
What year did they do that, I wonder? 89 or something?
Yeah. West of the...
Yeah, I'm trying to think. It was something about a guy rushing home and one of the guards stopped.
Now here's the east side of the wall.
Over 400 restaurants in Branson.
Yeah.
Here's the toy land.
Wow, look at that.
Toy museum.
Yeah, toy museum.
Pretty interesting,